What is the first thing that comes to your mind when gender is mentioned? What is gender? What does the word gender even mean? Gender is the state of being female or male, according to the Oxford Dictionary. However, gender is more than just that definition nowadays. Gender is a topic based solely on social constructions. Society has turned gender into a way in which each individual can express themselves to society's expectations on being female or male. Sex is frequently mistaken from gender, but sex refers to the biological and physiological aspects that define what is female and male, while gender refers more to the roles, behaviors, activities, and attributes that society has constructed for each sex. Everyone's perspective of gender is influenced by the way society has constructed gender and by the stereotypes of gender that have been implanted in people's minds. The fact that everyone has specific stereotypes of gender based on social constructions has brought problems to society throughout history. A stereotype is a widely held but fixed and oversimplified image or idea of a particular type of person or thing. In this case, gender is being stereotyped. The way people view gender has changed throughout history, from the beginning of time when all men thought women should have rights, to the early 1900s where the movement for women's rights and gender equality began. It's important to note that gender is a way for individuals to identify themselves, meaning that it is completely based on that person's perspective and opinions. This also means that no gender identification is wrong or right. Even though many aspects about gender equality have changed throughout history, people still have outdated methods and ways as to how to identify people by their gender, and in these times, that is unacceptable. We are supposed to overcome these obstacles that have impeded us from reaching gender equality for centuries, for millennia.
History has been very hard on women. Since the beginning of time, women have always been considered inferior to men. In the Bible, it states that Eve must serve Adam. A direct quote from Genesis 3 in modern English is, "Your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you." Centuries ago, men considered women to be things or objects, that their only purpose in this world was to cook, clean, and take on the burden of their children. And sadly, some men and women still do. However, with the passing of time, women around the world, especially in Western culture, have gotten tired of the way that they are treated and have risen up and fought for the elimination of gender segregation and for gender equality. Now let's look at the responses of three ninth graders in 2016 on what they think it means to be female and the stereotypes and hardships that come from being that specific gender.
What does it mean to be a girl?
To be a girl means to have the body parts corresponding to that certain sex.
Okay, the idea of being a girl has changed depending on where you live. So, to me at least, being a girl just means to meet a certain expectation of what it is, what you wear, the way you present yourself, the way you look. That's what it means to be a girl.
So to me, to be a girl is to be female. So if you have female body parts, female genitalia, then you're a girl. And if you have male genitalia, then you're a guy. You're a male.
What does it mean to be a girl? To be a girl means not only to have like the body parts, corresponding to a girl, but also like meet the expectations that society puts forth for a girl.
What major stereotypes do you feel are set on women?
I don't think I'm treated worse for being a woman. However, I know that there's a different expectation in the way I'm supposed to behave, and I know that there's a different treatment that entails being a woman. But I don't think it's necessarily worse in my case. However, I know in some cases it is.
So the stereotypes for a girl would be that she has to be pretty, she has to be skinny, she has to be able to take care of the kids and stay home and cook and clean and like sew. Stereotypes for girls are that they're manipulative, that they're supposed to be pretty, they're expected to cook, take care of children, be motherly in a way, I guess.
Some major stereotypes of women is that they're always passive, that they're submissive, they're always like, I don't know how to explain it, but they're more, they have to resist temptation more than men.
They're like every time you think of like a woman, you think of like a mom, that they take care of the children, that they cook.
Do you believe that women are treated inferior to men?
I definitely think women are treated inferior to men in some parts of the world. I mean, not in my case exactly, like not where I live here. But I mean, like for example, in the Middle East, girls are treated inferior to men. Like for example, like Malala, like she just wanted to have an education and go to school, but like I mean, she was shot because of it. So I mean, definitely there's parts of the world where women aren't treated properly.
So I definitely don't think women are inferior to men, but they are treated in some parts of the world as if they were. And I think that's completely wrong and unacceptable. We should try to change it.
It's different depending on what culture you're living in and where you are in the world, because of course being in a more gender equal country is far easier to identify yourself as a woman, and what makes that possible is very different. Of course, to me, from my perspective, it just means it's biological. The way you look also affects the way you're perceived.
Women are treated as inferior to men, as in we're not given the same opportunities in work, or like the wage gap, for example, that women aren't paid as much as men. Like myself, I haven't been treated differently because of where I live and where I go to school. Like it differs wherever you are, but in general, women are treated inferior, I guess.
From the previous interviews, we can determine that there are in fact stereotypes placed on women. Most of those interviewed stated many stereotypes, a huge amount. So the question, who do you feel is more stereotyped, men or women, popped up to see if men are thought to be stereotyped as much as women.
Who do you feel is more stereotyped, men or women?
So there definitely are male stereotypes. I would not say as much as women, but men are considered to be like the leader, like they always have to like take control of the situation. They have to be strong, brave, and like sometimes it's not like that, like, and they have to be masculine, and yeah.
Men are the ones that have the authority, and they're the most aggressive ones, the loud ones, and they tend to think that they're very strong, and that that's.
I think men are held to the standard or the stereotype of what the word masculine sort of embodies, and I think in our culture and with our ideals, the word masculine sort of embodies like a strong or tough man who dresses nicely, or basically has nice hair or combs their hair a lot, etc., etc., etc.
Although many people usually relate the idea of stereotypes mostly to women, as seen by some of the answers to the previous question, men are also stereotyped. Some of those who answered women to the previous question also noted several male stereotypes as well.
What are some stereotypes you feel are set on men?
So I think women are pressured more into acting a specific way, based off their stereotypes, like from the media, like even like in the Bible it says that the man is, like the woman should serve all men society. So I think like throughout history, women have been like expected to act in a specific way, and I think they're more pressured to act in a specific way than men.
I think both female and male are held to really high standards that are kind of equal in the sense of the higher the standard that they're set to, it just takes a difference. It just takes a toll on how much the person specifically pressures themselves onto fitting into that stereotype. I think males are less pressured or put less pressure on themselves to fit into a certain stereotype, and females do that more. So I'm guessing more people will answer the question saying that females get a higher stereotype. I just think that females take that stereotype more into consideration when it comes to how they act and what they do, rather than when males take that.
I believe that women are the ones that are more forced into stereotypical gender roles, because women are seen as people that they have to take care of their children, they have to go to work, they have to clean the house, and they just have all these household responsibilities that they have to accomplish with and then not many men do so also. And
As a
yeah.
result of our survey, we can conclude that both genders are stereotyped in different ways. These stereotypes can be true or false. It depends on the person. Not all men are the same, nor is every woman. So what is the importance of a stereotype that does not apply to you? Why can't you just be yourself and ignore the stereotype? This is what we were truly investigating, whether or not these stereotypes affect our lives and identities. So the final question we asked our interviewees was, do you feel that you are pressured into acting a certain way because of your gender?
Do you feel you are pressured into acting a certain way because of your gender?
I feel that as a girl, I am putting pressure on myself to fit into a certain stereotype. Basically, to fit into what the meaning of femininity is in our culture and our ideals, just like I said about the masculine. Like personally, would be makeup or how I dress, etc., etc. I don't think I take it more than that, and I don't internalize it into my personality. Just basically on actions that I do in order to fit somewhat into that stereotype unconsciously.
So I think I am feel pressured into acting a specific way because I am a man. Like in regards to sports, when I take control over things, like if there's a bug, I have to be the one to kill it, not my sister, which has happened many times. And even though I don't feel like I'm pressured into acting a specific way that much, like there's still some aspects about being a man that I feel like I'm supposed to act in a specific way.
But in a way, I do feel pressured, but in other ways, I don't, because I mean, what is a stereotypical woman? It doesn't include the fact that that woman has to work. I mean, when I grow up, my plan is to work. I wanna be able to be successful in my career, and I have plans to work, but I also have like an obligation, not an obligation because I want to, but like the stereotype of a woman is to have children and to take care of them and all that, but I plan to do both. I plan to have a career and be successful in that career, but I also plan to have children and take care of them and all that, but I don't plan to do it alone. I mean, I plan somebody else to help me, but not that man has to like have the whole responsibility. I plan to have it like equally.
Both males and females have characteristics that classify them both according to the gender they belong to. People follow specific rules when it comes to identifying who you are, and that brings problems to society. Like we said before, why can't we ignore stereotypes and just be who we are? Why does a girl need to wear makeup every time she goes out while a boy doesn't? Why does a boy need to be athletic while all the girls do is shop? Our hypothesis, stereotypes are affecting the way people identify themselves and act, was proven correct. I want you to take a moment and think of the first image that comes to your mind when you think of a girl. What I see is a pretty, curvy woman with long hair and wearing makeup, defenseless and vulnerable. Now form an image of a guy in your head. What do you see? I see a big, tall, muscular, and athletic man with short hair and a six-pack. He looks confident and somewhat aggressive.
These are the images that we have been trained to see, the images planted by society and by the media. This is what we use as our guide to determine what is masculine and what is feminine, which is completely ridiculous. What is the difference between a girl with short hair and a girl with long hair? Hair length, that's it. Having short hair does not make her any less of a girl, and having long hair does not make her any more of a girl. Any important aspect about gender stereotypes we discovered was that everyone believed women's stereotypes are taken more into consideration when identifying a girl than men's stereotypes when identifying a man. However, that is not true at all. Male and female stereotypes are taken both into equal consideration when identifying an individual. After our experiment, we want you to think about how one should identify an individual, and that there is no specific instruction to act like a specific gender.